Hello, good evening, and welcome back, everyone, to the Overwatch Watchers Brawl 3. We are here tonight to bring you the conclusion of the first round of the upper bracket. Tonight's first match will be a fantastic display of skill between Dedicated and NYX. I'm 3.007, and I'm joined once again by none other than the fantastic Sir Waltham.
Thank you very much, Threep. Great to be here. Great to be back into this third installment of our Overwatch All-Stars Brawl. Ready to get into it. Very excited to see Dedicated and NYX go head-to-head in our first match of the night.
It's going to be a little cray, but before we get started, we have an interview, pre-match glory coming at you live. It's Fiery Panda. Go on and introduce yourself.
I am Fire Panda, the player development coach for the Dedicated Gaming. I think that's all I have.
Awesome, no problem at all. Thanks for joining us here before the game gets started. So, the Dedicated Gaming is a team that I have yet to have the glory of seeing in action. So, why don't you tell us about yourself and the team?
Well, we just started about a week ago. Played in the Title Esports stuff this weekend. Took a win there. So, we're hoping to replicate this weekend. This month, I guess, technically, for this tournament.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Fantastic. Definitely hoping your team does well. We always like seeing some pretty good competition coming out from, everybody participating. Fire Panda, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you a little bit about yourself. You said you were the player developmental coach, if I'm not butchering that. That was correct?
Yeah.
How does that stand out from other coaches in different aspects, whether it be in your organization or in what might be traditional in others?
So Static is our head coach, and he handles all the macro stuff and player issues. I'm focused on micro and focusing mainly on players' development within the game, making sure everybody's getting better every week.
It's like game sense improvements, timing and whatnot, coordination.
Yep, all that kind of stuff. Individually, coaching players to get them better.
I can say from personal experience that having some one-on-one coaching time is one of the greatest ways to improve. So, the Dedicated gamer, this is going to be the first match in this tournament for you all. NYX, however, we've seen before. They can be a pretty feisty opponent. So, when it comes to the Dedicated gaming, how do you guys get psyched up for a match that you know might be a little tricky?
Normally we have a little powwow before the game just to talk about any game plan stuff. And then move on from there. I mean, we take every game like it's going to be tricky, so it's not a whole lot of extra prep that we do for anything specific. Kind of just get in the groove and keep going,
Oh yeah, hella.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. Got to have that right mentality. And to kind of go hand in hand with that, I have one more question, and that's kind of you guys are fairly new. You said within the last week or so, if my very poor memory is serving me properly. I know that I don't know how to put this in terms of teams, but is there kind of like a team culture? Because I know some companies, some organizations really like to have that kind of defined personality. Would you say that the Dedicated have that, or is it still something that's kind of quite in development?
I mean, the name says it all. It's a bunch of dedicated players and a bunch of dedicated coaches ready to take the game. And we're going to hopefully take it by storm and move up the ranks quickly. That's the goal.
Fantastic. That's what we like to hear.
And hard work.
Oh, yeah, and that's what we like to hear. Well, thank you very much for joining us in the booth. We'll let you get back, and good luck to you and your team today.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
And that was I Am Fiery Panda, the dedicated personal development coach for the members of the Dedicated Gaming. That sounds like a pretty solid team that they've got lined up here if they're already taking some victories here and there.
Yeah, it definitely sets a very good precedent. I like talking about personally whenever we see new teams about how excited I am to see them start to make their names here. But, when they already have that kind of presence, especially when being so fresh, it really even kind of makes my blood pump a little bit faster, ready to see, how they measure up against all these other teams. Some returning, some that are also brand new, and kind of throwing a familiar flavor into the unknown stew.
It's interesting to see teams like this when they pop up and how they get, how do we say, matched up against teams that have been around for a long time. Like we see NYX on the board right now, and we know what they're capable of. We've seen them in action before, and we've seen them go up against some pretty dangerous teams. And that can give you kind of an indicator of when you push a team to the limit, just what exactly are they capable of. I'm hoping that NYX can do the same thing to dedicated gaming tonight, and let's see what this team really has to offer the Overwatch All-Star Brawl. Now, that being said, we are going to be getting started on our first map eventually. It is Control, of course, and it's actually Nepal.
Right, Nepal, talk a lot about it. I gotta mention, Pharah, always a possibility. If I'm ever casting 3, it's going to be guaranteed I'm going to find a way to weasel Pharah into the conversation. Nepal, I think a pretty decent map for the Rocket Queen. I'm hopeful that the teams might choose to run it, although I'm not sure we've seen a huge divergence so much from the Doomfist Reaper combos quite yet.
Yeah, it definitely depends on what a team's willing to run and what they've practiced. The Doomfist Reaper is, of course, the de facto DPS pair that we all know, and at this point, it hasn't worn off its welcome yet because Doomfist is just so freaking exciting to watch. But Nepal affords you some interesting opportunities, not only with a Pharah, but sometimes with a Mei pick.
Yeah, really, really kind of something to be looking forward to. I'm hoping that we're going to see some changes come into effect soon. Although for the time being, it looks like we might still have to just stick with what's been working so effectively. And there's definitely something to be said for just utilizing what works.
Absolutely, and consistency is always going to be key in these matches. You have to pick the compositions and then go with the strategies that are going to bring your team victory and also keep your team's cohesion together. Coordination being one of the most important factors of the game. Speaking of keeping everything together, if you're liking the content that you're seeing and you want to stick with us for the other matches that we have going on, don't forget to throw us the follow, maybe even the subscribe if you're lucky. Half sub September might be over, but that's no reason to not grab those 6 sweet emotes.
Yeah, absolutely. If you ever want to express yourself with if you ever need to just say, I hate Widow in a little bit more of an expressive way than just typing it in game chat, perfect opportunity to do it with some custom emotes. Gotta love it. But that being said, not quite sure if it looks like we do have everybody in the lobby. We are just waiting for the ready signal from both teams, it appears, as they might just be discussing kind of last minute strategies, last minute kumbayas, if you will.
Coming together, that's always something you like to see. Again, team cohesion is necessary. It's also super necessary. Speaking good English, but also having a positive mental attitude. I mean, the amount of times that I've been in the situation where someone on the team starts tilting, it's just rough. And sometimes it can spread like a disease. I think that's possibly one of the reasons why they call it being toxic. But that being said, again, having that positive attitude is super important. And yeah, looks like we have our teams together. But Nepal, speaking of staying positive on Nepal, that's one of the ways you actually make it to round 3. Nepal is a map that can be run away with depending on the order of the rounds. You get that open air village, and then you get that the interior of the shrine sometimes without going to the next open air map. And if your team was really looking forward to that Pharah play, that might not necessarily be in your favor.
Yeah, it can kind of throw a little bit of a wrench in the works if you're not really on task and up to snuff on all 3 maps. If you're waiting for one to be kind of the sleeper pick and it doesn't come up, that can put you at a huge disadvantage, especially if the other team kind of raises the level of the other 2 maps to a superior level. I think we're gonna have to see how it goes here. Worth noting, though, if we look back in our previous All-Stars brawls, kind of as a little litmus test, NYX placed 11th in our last tournament, if my readings are correct. And I think that's going to be a very good placement to measure dedicated against. It's not too high up there. It's not like we're measuring them against Class 6, who ran away with the tournament last time around. But I think this is gonna give a good read of where they will stand to be this time.
Agreed, and that is also going to be a bit of a thing for NYX. This is NYX's chance now, again, where this is the 3rd Overwatch All-Star Brawl, where they can have the opportunity to demonstrate a bit more of some panache. Maybe they improve their standing this time around. They certainly are a team that has been around long enough to have a good shot, maybe practice some more strats, get more used to the meta as it stands right now. However, man, if the dedicated gaming comes out with some sheer brutality, we've seen the 3-0s before, and we've never seen dedicated gaming. So I like map 5s. I'm curious if these teams are going to push each other to that limit.
It's certainly going to be a coin toss as we get moving here. We do have a few seconds before the heroes come out of the gate, but as the numbers tick down, I'm going to be seeing right now, not too much to say as we have about 30 seconds before the round starts, but it doesn't look too conventional from the side of NYX just yet.
Yeah, this is a little interesting. Assuming Dad Please Yes 360 actually does come out on the Roadhog and Moonblue stays on the Mei, I'll be flabbergasted. Those are not what we would call the 100% picks, and I'm definitely excited to see if they roll out. Task stays on the Hammond, I would again also be a little surprised. All right, here we are.
Yep. The Task is going to be popping out on that Hammond. You have to like it. A lot of displacement. Although Moonblue playing that Mei is going to give them a tough time. They're really going to have to be careful with those Hammond pile drivers and those ball dives.
All right, I instantly love this. EMF goes down immediately as Zay jumps into the thick of it along with his Hammond, and the damage is huge. T-Time goes down immediately after. Looks like Dedicated Gaming knew exactly what they were bargaining for when they set up for this match, and the pulled pork just wasn't able to get a hold of Task as he went ripping in there, or possibly even worse, he did, leaving Zay just enough time to rock them shotguns.
Yeah, and what was really glorious about that was Task dove in, used the shield immediately, and you know Moonblue tried to get the Mei beams on him. Dad tried to get the hooks into him, but the Orisa shield was just there, just close enough for that Hammond to make a quick retreat into it, not preventing those CCs from really getting too much effect.
Yeah, it's one of the things you have to worry about with the Doomfist going into the backline is that he is just so effective at getting away that it's almost impossible, and if you spend resources on him, it might not result in anything, but instead a Death Blossom already comes out from the Dedicated, and that is another team fight won very decisively.
Yeah, Dedicated definitely looking to make a Dedicated statement here. As we're seeing, you know, they're not afraid. They had already taken down EMF. You didn't think you may have had to use that Reaper Death Blossom right out of the gate, but they're going to do it, and they're going to say, hey, watch out.
And now Task is going to have some grenades, or mines rather, to throw into this very tight corner. It looks like he's setting up his angle that's probably looking for some very nasty situations. Meanwhile, Moonblue coming up on the Blizzard, not going to be there yet, but ooh, there go the mines, and all sorts of cooldowns getting thrown into it, and Task does manage to throw a Roadhog into them. That is a truckload of damage.
Yeah, that is a truckload of damage, tanking, and CC. You love to see that loss if you're on the Dedicated side. And Task really playing that high ground well with the mines. I did not think that the mines would find as much value as they did, considering a lot of them hit the roof. But there you go, the numbers don't lie, and kills give you the thrills.
Speaking of some micromanagement and micro attention, that is a stagger that is going to be pretty nasty. Task gets a little bit of the flack from T-Time, but he's going to, of course, make it out of there no problem. And this looks like it could be an opportunity for NYX to come in here with a bunch of ults. Moonblue leads in with the Blizzard. The wall goes up to try and stop some of the, I guess, counter to it. Death Blossom goes in. It's a counter Blossom. T-Time grabs Zay, but T-Time also goes down. It's honestly anyone's game at this point. Whoever pulls off these next kills is going to be the one with the lineup, the advantage in the match, and despite the damage coming out from Task, I think the point no.
Yeah, it's just not looking like it's going to be quite enough for the side of NYX. They are suffering quite a bit. Moonblue hopping in on that Doomfist, as we see so often, just try to get some stall out. Raid looking like they actually raided into some of those mines, and we're just seeing pure stagger right now.
I think I've seen more kills from mines in this particular game of, some top-tier Overwatch than I have in such a very long time. Never again, also obviously forgetting, of course, that Hammond just doesn't get picked.
Yeah, it's amazing given the composition that we saw coming out of NYX. They really... looking at their composition, they should have had that Hammond lockdown. Moonblue on that Mei. Dad Please on that Roadhog with EMF to get the grabs in if necessary. It just did not look like it was working for them. I think Dad Please is going to be eluding. They're not going to be sticking with the Roadhog this time around.
Yeah, it did really work out for them, so they're going to be going back to that double barriers. And let's not forget about the other masters of this particular composition. Hopeful and Zay are going absolutely crazy on the damage. Hopeful themselves didn't really do any of those crazy plays that we normally see from, crazy Doomfist players, but they did exactly what they needed to do. They drew out cooldowns, and they made it really difficult for NYX to take a stand.
They certainly did, and I really like what we just saw. Task and Korean Snack utilizing their cooldowns together, the pile driver and halt all in one, building up a lot of ult charge for that Hammond.
And that's the dedication I like seeing from a Doomfist player. They're throwing in the fist, they're saving their other cooldowns for the exclusive use of getting out of the fight. They're never giving NYX a chance to lock onto him. Meanwhile, in an, I was gonna say, killless fight, the positioning was perfect from Dedicated, but it looks like NYX are actually answering back here, and this is the map where the Mei really does a lot of work. The Moon Blue is gonna fall, but early laser beams coming out from Raid means that that's gonna be a very quick flip.
Yeah, Zay trying to get out, but as soon as those tags don't allow him to get free farm, he does get cleaned up by some of the more slender targets. Task already, though, going to be having that minefield up. This is very curious that we see a tank up before a Moira in this recent meta. With Moira building ult charge so fast, it's really speaking to how well Task and Korean Snack are just working together.
Yeah, and now we have to look at NYX's positioning. They gave up the point pretty quickly, but now they're getting caught right out in the open! The mines are down as well. Hopeful pulls 2 kills. He probably heard me shit-talking him. There goes Raid. A triple K for Hopeful's Doomfist, and the rest of the make that 4, and that's just cleanup time in Isle Nepal for the Dedicated Gaming.
All right, so some amazing plays from Hopeful coming through there. 3 kills right off the bat, 1 coming in between 2 right clicks. Just some good Doomfist play. As we know, that Doomfist can be a wrecking ball with the momentum of 1 to boot. When he gets those shieldings, it can make him such a hard target to take down. They saw him going into the back lines, but the mines and coalescence were preventing anybody from escaping out the front angle. Not a lot to do there.
Yeah, and the one thing I do like about Task's play is that they've been able to avoid the Mei so far, but Moonblue caught them right out this time. Death Blossom goes into the backline. It grabs Micro, and Tea Time gets picked up by Hopeful, who then, of course, grabs Raid. And what a dominant showing from Dedicated Gaming, despite losing Task, who was performing major disruption services.
Yeah, and there was a moment there where Zay almost met their ends. He uses the Death Blossom and gets pulled into the Mei Blizzard, but the Sigma Rock hits him off of the high mid ground onto a little alcove, giving him effective cover. And because of that, the Reaper doesn't get punished for being effectively locked out of movement and abilities for 3 seconds. It was really crucial.
Yeah, speaking of getting locked out, it looks like there might be a lot of ultimates coming online for NYX. However, Jammer, yes, leads immediately with the big lasers, and the big one goes down, but Tea-Time drops the Blossom. They grab Hopeful, presumably who is on the way to the backline, taking your friends, but Task, again with the damages. It's so crazy what this Hammond is pulling out here.
Yeah, and you can tell that Tea-Time are really trying to lock down on that. Those mines have been a little bit of a burden whenever the Hammond's Wrecking Ball has been able to utilize them. And now it's going to be a little bit of a rush. Nope, not even going to be the option. Dedicated going to take the fight.
Yeah, NYX wasn't even able to get back to the point. The timing in which they lost that last fight on that round meant that there was really only 7 seconds to get back in time. And that's it's just not possible with Lucio's speed nerfs from the past. Even if you had a Hammond, it might be able to get there, but just, it's really difficult. So we're going to be looking at a Death Blossom that came out from Zay. This has been a Reaper that is really strutting their stuff, and the whole team Dedicated is just doing a fantastic job. A lot of parts coming together to make a really solid whole.
Yeah, I would say if it was just based off of the first match, Zay was being a little bit more of a standout DPS, but there was one team fight that Hopeful just absolutely did a little bit of a hard carry with on that Doomfist. It was just one team fight, but still, that gets you, 20% maybe of the point in these control point maps, especially if you don't have to use any ultimates, which, I mean, we saw a little bit come out, but still, for the price of a couple of Doomfist cooldowns, 3 kills were expended, and that's pretty nice.
Oh yeah, no, that's bonkers. And then if we have to take a look at a tank, that isn't Task, that is. What if we go after Korean Snack, who the stats, the damage, they had 60% kill participation on Orisa. Now I know she's got a lot of bullets in her gun, and she spews it out like it's her job. But man, to hit that many shots on a significant enough level to get that level of kill participation is genuinely impressive.
It really is. I mean, something like that cannot be understated. And again, I went over it, but I'm gonna geek out about it again here, Threep. The combination between the Orisa and the Wrecking Ball that we could really see there with the pulls, it just seems so crucial in getting those setups and getting that ult charge built as fast as possible. You got to think that, without that coordination, maybe it doesn't go their way.
Yeah, the damage and the ground and pound is just crazy to see. Now, meanwhile, we are going to be going into our map ban and pick phase, and it looks like the Dedicated Gaming might be going after assault maps as quickly as possible. They have attempted, or no, that was actually an escort map. So
Yes.
as we know, for this season's map pool, we have only Dorado and Watchpoint Gibraltar. Now, I don't actually necessarily hate Watchpoint Gibraltar. Dorado, you get some cheesy strats you can run these days, and I do super like that. But Gibraltar, I think, is a much more interesting map, especially because sometimes teams get to pop out the sniper battles.
Yes, I gotta agree. Watchpoint Gibraltar, as you know, somebody who likes playing Winston, I like seeing the maps that give you the opportunity for considering dive a little bit more heavily. Not like you're actually going to initiate it all that much here, but I mean, Dorado, we definitely see some wacky stuff come out of as well. I mean, the first match I believe we ever casted in this tournament, going back a long time ago, was a wacky interior May hold on one of the buildings right at spawn of Dorado, and it bought like 3 minutes.
Man.
It was amazing, and you know, I think that both maps have their opportunities to show different compositional styles, just in different ways. But it looks like our map ban is going to be Hanamura, so we still do have the option for those escort maps.
Yeah, not that shocking. Hanamura is a very spooky map to play. In this particular meta, the teams don't really seem a big fan of it. Some of them, when they do end up on Hanamura, try to go with the Symmetra quick teleport track, and it goes about the way you think. It's roughly 50-50, it seems. Sometimes I see the team just rip it out and they crush it, and then other times if the defense manages to repel that first one, if they don't switch off right after that, it tends to result in some nasty situations. So that being said, though, NYX, as the loser of the last map, is going to get the selection after the ban, and they are going to go with a... yes, it's Hollywood. Okay, so that's fascinating. I love this map, but do we see Bunker now?
Bunker? Maybe not. I would not be surprised if we see, you know, you talk about liking Watchpoint Gibraltar for the potential of sniper maps. I think that this is one of the maps that we see get picked more regularly that also has a pretty decent chance for snipers. Not necessarily on first point. I don't think people have been as anxious to do a Widow or Ashe first point hold as much. I think that it's a lot more common on second point, especially if you can get something like a Hanzo, something that feels comfortable both maneuvering and kind of fighting, you know, at such steep angles.
Yeah, and you know, Hanzo Zim, oh my god. Hanzo Sombra was one of those fun little bunker busters. You throw in the EMP behind enemy lines, it catches out all the shields, the dragons goes in, everyone dies. It's all, you know, honky-dory. This time around, though, yeah, we don't see a lot of Baptiste these days. We don't see a lot of the Sombra pick even. It's much more reliable to do that double shield defense, and much more reliable than on the offense to throw in still that Reaper Doomfist. Though it is, in this particular situation, if this were a normal teams, it would be up to the Reaper and the Doomfist to start punching through that bunker. Now, however, does Task go back onto the Hammond, or as is the case with some teams, is that strategy done and now they're going to stick with more, I guess, tried and true compositions?
I think Task might have a little bit more of a difficult time running Hammond here, especially since we know that Cafe is kind of the idyllic holding spot. It makes playing Hammond around that area very difficult. You can have Hammond play around the archway fairly nicely. He has the upper arch to kind of grapple himself onto, but without that, you have to really work corners and sidewalls, and it kind of limits your movements to a great degree. However, looks like he's not even going to mind that, as he does roll out with the Wrecking Ball.
Yes, the Dedicated Gaming chose to start on defense, which is my personal favorite pick. And yeah, Task leaves spawn lickety split. Zay actually jumping onto a Widowmaker, hopeful still on the Doomfist, but I think there's going to be some confidence that Zay is going to have, potentially with the power of Task, some skeet shooting to do. The Hammond ground and pound, quite nice at pulling people up and above shields, and both of which, Orisa and Sigma's shield, as we're seeing from Dad Please Yes 360, are quite static when they are deployed.
That's true. The benefit of 360's shielding is that you'll be able to place it right in the face of that Widow, but Zay's going to be taking an early angle. Let's see what it finds.
All right, so Moon Blue is now on the Sombra, despite...
Oh!
Oh no! So Zay, yup, there it is. It's go time. The Widowmaker is here, and Moon Blue is going to be sticking on that Sombra, it looks like.
Yeah, this is going to be costly if Zay and Alexio particularly get caught out. It looks like Hopeful going to be there to kind of back him up, but a very forward hold coming through from the defensive Dedicated right now.
I super like that. Also, the Mercy dedicating that beam to them shows us that this team is definitely one that is going to pride themselves on their sniper play. Now, there was some bit of a pullback, a little bit of a distraction to get... Oh, what a click, but not enough to get down that Reaper. But meanwhile, yes, the dedicated gaming is going to be forced back to the choke.
Right, and I mean... it's really gonna be on Zay if they can land some shots, because you do not have the option to really switch your heroes out too liberally.
That was the ballsiest res I've ever seen. Alexio goes hurtling into the middle of a fight, picks up Hopeful. Jammer actually goes down, but it's just kills left and right for the dedicated gaming, who are going to have to replace that Jammer, and that is going to be a very slow walk back from spawn.
Zay and Task are just working in synergy right now. This team has so many combos going. Zay popping the brig as soon as Task hits them with that ground pound pile driver. It's incredible. It's incredible to see this level from a team that you have to keep in mind is only a week old.
Yeah, this is really, honestly, genuinely impressive. They're using every ability that you can think of to get those targets above those shields and let that Widowmaker go to action. They're even committing the halt, which is a very, very slow cooldown, relatively speaking. But Task going in there, it's just so powerful. And the shield break combo actually works really well. Sigma's shield has a bunch, but you can't keep throwing it out there if you're going to let it regenerate.
Very much so the case, and EMF going to be taken down means that a lot of this fight is just going to be a pull back from the attacking team, who are looking like they're having a continued tough time.
What?
They having such a good time on this Widow, I imagine.
What is this Widowmaker? And then the Ana sleep darts. Jammer had tea time dead to rights. NYX is on a back heel. Like, I rarely see them. What even is this? Slow down and let the casters talk about the freaking game, Zay.
Yeah, NYX looks like they really just need to take a breath, recollect themselves, and push in with their Sigma, especially against this Widow, because we've seen Zay, if somebody's out of position, they will not hesitate to try to close the health gap on them. And we're exactly seeing Dad, please, yes, try to push up on this Widow, which is what they need.
Moonblue is only just now going to get the EMP because they are just getting ganked every time they leave spawn. And Mika, what even is this? This is a full court press, the likes of which we rarely seen. What is that close scope goodness? Crazy bonkers. NYX, however, it's the big six, and so they gotta bust it all out and they gotta do it well, or this is pretty much a done Hollywood.
Absolutely, and right now, it's so unfortunate because we're seeing the full six come out from the side of NYX, and you think, they have a Sombra, maybe they could get to point and just try to capitalize on that, but they're honestly not even gonna feel too comfortable doing that. It's just gonna be Moonblue trying to duel a Hammond.
Task even just forces away. There it is! Moonblue goes down right when the fight starts because they got popped up and dropped down. And it is insane. Okay, so tea time. Here we go. They've got Korean sauce. They go, the Death Blossom. They get Alexio and Jammer. There it is. That's the NYX we know and love.
That was exactly what they needed, but it is looking bare bones for both sides of this battle. Moira Doomfist does not go in favor of the offensive team, but there's point presence, and that might be enough for NYX.
Yeah, killing anyone on the defense is just such a fantastic thing to do. But they have a nano boost onto Task, and he goes ripping into the line. He takes down Moonblue immediately. I've never seen that before. That was incredible. And so there's a Tracer on the point now as well. They had to get bodies back on the point, and I super agree with it. But any kill coming in now for NYX is a fantastic kill that only serves to solidify their status as the taker of point A.
Yeah, and we see even in desperate moments, Zay still continuing to play that Widowmaker, taking the media room side attack while everybody seems to be focused on the interior cafe battle. And right now, the capitalization seems to be coming through, except for that Sigma shield.
Alexio getting uncontested reses like that as his rain goes down again! Hopeful striking back, like, that's it!
Wow.
They're off the point for a split second! A full hold. No, sorry, not full. 81.1% taken. So that's good for NYX. Very good.
Well, it is
best case scenario.
It is a situation in which they can win. It is not a definite draw at worst or at best situation, and you gotta be walking away with at least that under your belt after, man, I'm gonna say that was a very bloody first point hold. Just those angles that Zay was taking and the coordination with Task, it looked like it caught NYX completely off guard.
Yeah, this is P-Spooky for NYX right now. They basically have to affect a, obviously, slightly better, relatively full hold than to get the dedicated gaming. But based on the kills that we saw coming out, and now that actually, I shouldn't say that because that did work very well on the dedicated gaming's defense. They had a situation where they had individuals on the team pulling targets and Zay would pop them right out of the sky. I don't know how well that will work on offense depending on how NYX sets up their bunker. Because I see tea time and I see a thing.
There is definitely some potential here. We were talking about it. Bunker, not the worst option. NYX knows they're not going to really have Streets phase to recover from, because if it gets to Street phase, they've already lost. And so they're thinking they just may want to find something that can have as much high damage potential, really burn as much time off the clock per push as possible. And a Bastion threatening you with a hail of bullets is definitely going to make you think twice for a minute.
Yeah, and that is going to be a minute that they're going to have a bunch of. They have 4 minutes now to get that 81%, and it is going to be Micro and Tea Time rocking that good old-fashioned bunker. Zay sprints out of spawn with a Soldier 76 and simply just heads right out of it. This is fascinating. Are they taking the rough angle to just bust down that shield? They are. This is fantastic. But yeah, Tea Time on the Bastion. That is just so much freaking damage. The res does come in. Task pumps them all off. Hopeful with the dive, but the Tea Time goes right down. Genji in my Overwatch, it's more likely than you think.
This is pretty good. Korean taking down EMF early is exactly what was needed in that situation. And Task has just been impossible to kill, it seems, in all of these games. Even with a Mei, even with a Reaper, they've been having such a tough time at NYX to just get things captured here. Or to get kills to come through, rather. And it's just a continuation of one massive team fight.
Yeah, and it's difficult for the dedicated gaming to get these kills, but they're pulling it out bit by bit, and now they get the advantage of those defensive murders that it's going to take such a long time to get characters like Ana back on the point. There's even a Reinhardt, but EMF just wasn't able to turn it out. The percentage continues to build, and it's just so difficult for NYX to stay on this point with that hamster.
Yeah, Task is doing such a good job of juggling. He seems to be a very conscious about movement, and he gets slept body blocking the Ana from the point. It's gonna be an unfortunate spot. Wow. Dedicated taking this one.
That was rough. That was spoopy. What a fast team. Proud to say that this is the first time we've seen the dedicated gaming in the Overwatch All-Star Brawl, and they definitely make that moniker true. What a fantastic team we're seeing so far. NYX, however, we know they're not down and out for the count yet. They are not the ones to fall so quickly in this tournament. So I'm curious as how they're going to come out of this, because this has been very spooky to them, I would say, gameplay coming out from the dedicated gaming. This next map choice better be good.
Right, I think it's going to come down to map choice as well as how well can they adapt, because I don't think it's a stretch to say that in this meta you're not seeing a lot of Hammond play. So if you experience a Hammond that is getting the better of you, you need to adapt quick. And I mean, they've had 2 games to do it. They need to make it happen on their third, or they're going to be heading into an early losers bracket.
Indeedy do. So if NYX wants to stay up here with the quote-unquote big boys, this is it, and it's gotta be big. So I think since the dedicated gaming got rid of the assault map the first time around, this could be a bait chance. This could be the chance for the dedicated gaming to play a little map mind games. Meanwhile, I think NYX needs to ignore whatever dedicated bans and pick their literal favorite map in the pool, unless of course dedicated bans their favorite map.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? It could go a bunch of different ways. I think how well Hammond can play on the map is also going to be a big consideration here. That Hammond just seemed so oppressive and so controlling of NYX. I mean, yes, there were a lot of players that were capitalizing upon, Task's capabilities to play, but the entire team just seemed so locked on. If you can really try to find something that puts Task in what might be a little bit more of an uncomfortable situation, I think you might have a better shot.
Definitely, and there was that moment at the end of that map where the Big Six could have been brought to bear, but Task went immediately into the backline, found Moon Blue Sombra, and just harassed them incessantly. And then eventually, they were just picked off by Zay, who found their Chrome Dome, or the Dome rather, and there was just no chance to bring it into the actual team fight. Ults were already being committed to it, and you lose that major advantage that the EMP can bring you. Honestly, Moon Blue, I I couldn't tell if they were caught out by just a unsuspecting boop and their stealth was removed. But you need to take the absolute safest route and get into that fight before anyone has a chance to stop you. In the end, though, it was just way too hard. Zay's Widowmaker is crazy strong. Hopeful, as we've seen, is now one of the newest, most consistent Doomfists in this tournament. And the tank play from the dedicated gaming is just way too strong. NYX have to start approaching that level of coordination to have a chance now.
Yeah, and Moonblue I definitely think is putting forward some good moves. It's just, I think the timing might be a little off. In that play we're talking about where the Sombra kind of gets chased down by the Hammond. Sombra was actually invisible for most of that, gets the hack onto the Hammond very early on. I think if Moonblue had waited a little bit, called out the hack going onto the Hammond, maybe the rotation could have come through from the rest of NYX to really collapse on that. I mean, given Task does have a tendency to build up a lot of shields with his barrier creation, or shield creation rather, it's hard to say whether that would have opened up the fight, but if you can get a kill onto that Hammond, it certainly makes you feel a little bit better that you don't have to worry about getting involuntarily juggled.
Yeah, absolutely. And so if you're going to avoid that, I guess apparently the answer for NYX is go to Watchpoint Gibraltar. Now this concerns me for two very specific reasons. 3. 1, I think NYX is going to try Pirate Ship. 2, you have a tendency to get stuffed into spawn if one kill goes off and you never get to the cart. 3, this is Hammond Widowmaker Central! If you can think of angles and ways for a hamster to roll around on this map, then I think Task has thought of a few more.
Yeah, and not to mention that in some points of Gibraltar, you know, there's some very quirky geometry. We see teams a lot of times do some, not a lot of times, but we see teams occasionally do some very unique holds, like all the way on cliffside. If NYX is going to try something like that, it's going to be very dangerous against that Hammond because there's a massive boop potential. You already think Task is building up a lot of ult charge now. Try getting Hammond knocked or Orisa pulled off that cliff with 5 of your members going into the drink.
Yeah, neat little thing about Orisa is that she does have that fortify ability that definitely prevents any of that from happening. So that means Orisa is the sole member of your team left on high ground, everyone else now down below your shield. If it's off cooldown, great. If it's not, they're getting, they're getting shredded to hell. And it's a really, really nasty situation to be in. So I think what NYX can potentially do here, depending on what offense they go with, is take a few notes from how well or how poorly they bust through the dedicated gaming's defense, which is going to be setting up here, as always, with that hamster. But it looks like Zay, instead of the Widowmaker, is going to be starting on that soldier.
Perhaps more than the soldier. I'm very curious about Hopeful on this Genji. We talked about how, they were coming into it on Hollywood. I look forward to seeing this, hopefully a little bit longer of an attack phase, or a little bit longer of a defense phase, so we can really see this Genji get some work in.
And that is, yeah, so that's fantastic. They're going right in with that Genji. Zay gets taken out immediately by a Moonblue Doomfist, though, and that's the kind of performance you need to be seeing from your DPS if they're going to rock it out. Alexio this time, again, punished for the res. Dad Please Yes 360 now ducking onto their own Hammond, and here is a NYX moving a payload that now we're a little bit more used to seeing. And with that, they are definitely going to be getting started. But it looks like Task is once again causing some problems in the back line, not letting them push that payload for free. Though that will cost NYX a few kills, they're still ultimately going to have the advantage here.
Yeah, I gotta appreciate that NYX was able to kind of turn things around. It doesn't look like they're leaning too much on the Mei, which might be a smart option considering, how little they were able to get the player of Task locked down with that Mei. And right now, getting through the car wash might be one of their biggest challenges, but they certainly have the kits to do it if they can just stick together with their plans.
They have to stick together, but EMF jumping in there without the use of his team is not the good way to do it. Winston's best ability is as a diver, and if you don't have that dive coming with you, then it's not going to happen. So EMF does go down very quickly. He's building up to that monkey blow. Moonglue gets found, though. He's not going to get any kills. Now, that's a nasty stack.
Yeah, you really hate to see that T-time going to be falling right about the same time. The couple ults going to be coming online, most notably going to be T-time and Raid for the attack, that Pulse Bomb and Nano Boost. I would not be surprised if we saw EMF or Dad get the Nano this next coming fight, especially without a whole lot to really stop their kind of jump-ins.
Yeah, so it's been a wonderful little dive now for NYX, but they need to start pulling out some kills in bit more succession. They're gonna have it, but there's the Genji blade.
Oh, no.
It goes right into the backline. It's a nano boost. Moonblue goes down. Micro's so close. No, they're gonna go as well, and so that's a 2K from Hopeful. He is in fact going to get called out, however, by Daddy Yes Please, and that's gonna be a little difficult situation to get out of, but he does fend it off.
Right, and Moonblue using that Meteor Strike a little bit late just to get out of there. You don't want to feed as Doomfist. You might not expect to get too much value for that Meteor Strike anyway, so perhaps not the worst use of an ult. Going to be seeing them try to perhaps take a different angle, but now they're basically resetting from phase 1. Despite having won a fight, they're going to be pushing into what was basically a first attack.
So T-Time and EMF are going to have their ultimates. They are not ultimates that really synergize very well. T-Time may be looking to get off that early pulse bomb and open up this kill. Task flying around, just trying to get some fun times, maybe listen to some cooldowns. Meanwhile, it is definitely going to be up to NYX to start this push.
It certainly will,
There
and we're going to be
is.
seeing the mines come out. J-Jammer taken down early. It's not a bad start.
Ooh, wow. So Jammer does go down. Daddy Yes Please, however, gets caught into a halt, and he gets pulled right out and down. EMF, again, dives very late, but they get healed up! Alexio goes down, and EMF, no, it's the monkey! Here they come, and it's good times, but so many kills for the Dedicated Gaming. Zay even rips out Moonblue before they get obliterated by Angry Gorilla Scientist, man. And now the Jammer, also on the Brigida, throws out the rally, and that's a truckload of armor for the next 30 seconds.
Ooh, and you hate to see that if you're EMF getting dropped at the gate when you had Micro there to give you a little bit of healing. It's going to be very tough. Moonblue hopping onto this McCree, perhaps trying to do something to deal with this Genji. A lot of counterplay coming through from these two teams, but the Genji has that blade, so we're going to have to see whether the gun is really mightier than sword.
Yeah, now unlike the Vancouver Titans this past weekend, Jammer is doing getting much more use out of this Brigida. And there though, NYX, here they come in. But Moonblue, the counter pick goes down. Zay once again takes down EMF. That is just a duel that is consistently being won by that soldier, and he is just going crazy here. The Brigida doing fantastic work against the enemy Baptiste Hammond. And I am just so flabbergasted by the Dedicated Gaming's play here that I am literally losing words.
Very true. I think, you know, Moonblue had the right idea. We talk about how Moonblue has the right ideas in these executions, but he went too far ahead. He did not stay back with his supports, where a McCree should really feel the most comfortable playing with that flashbang. You know, again, she goes in there. You can try to optimize with the flashbang, and it's especially impactful since Alexio didn't have the nano boost for Hopeful. Hopeful was able to cut through clean without the need of performance-enhancing drugs. And, you know, maybe if Moonblue was back there, you could have gotten the kills because of that lack of damage reduction. It just, maybe it'll go their way this time around, but it's gonna be tough. They didn't make a lot of progress.
Yeah, I actually, again, am genuinely shocked that they didn't go with some kind of pirate ship now that I think about it. Zay on the soldier has some burst ability, but nothing like the head click potential of Tree Trunk Shooter or Widowmaker. So that's the kind of situation where, yeah, Task is super spooky, but you could have genuinely had that Bastion set up and start ripping down shields. That would force Korean snack off that high ground, make them get better positioning, buy you a little time, something, anything. Instead, it's 58.77 meters. Basically, right as you're leaving the car wash, you know, and those big brushes come down and they get your car all looking all dry and pretty, and then the guys come out and they wipe your windows, and it's, never mind, sorry. Adults, when you become older, you actually think things like that are just the coolest ever. So nice. Clean cars. Sorry, again, Hopeful. Going to be flexing onto the Widowmaker this time. Zay on a very damaging Junkrat, and I am fascinated. Now the Bastion is going to be coming back out from NYX.
I gotta say, I did not like the Bastion because I thought they were gonna take that high ground, which would leave them open to a lot of boops from Task. I'm still not sure I like it because they have no way of putting a lot of damage onto the cart. They're Task already just carrying the cart away, and now that Bastion's gonna have to break line of sight and gonna have to reposition just to do the damage. You hate to be in that position.
Yeah, that's an interesting play, and Hopeful takes the back line knowing that the shield is down. The Mercy's pocketing them. It's going to be difficult to win this Bastion duel, and they definitely aren't going to pull it out, but Moonblue's already down. Any kill for the offense at this point is fantastic. Buys them time to get onto the cart and do some damage, and it's just kill after kill that every helps. And yeah, EMF goes right down. Fortify. Zay's damage on this Junkrat is insane. A boop! The boop from Task takes the Bastion out.
That's exactly why I did not want to see Tea Time roll out on this Bastion. If they had held right up there, that would have happened exactly as it did now, just a little bit earlier. But it looks like it's going to be very quick for the side of Dedicated Gaming. The Dedicated Gaming, as it is.
Ooh, wow, hype as hella. That is going to be GG's. That's a big 3-0. And almost more importantly, that's a big no-no. NYX doesn't pull out a single point at all during this entire series. And as they go to the lower bracket, I have a feeling they're going to be watching this VOD very carefully.
Certainly seems to be the case. And yes, again, you can watch this VOD as much as you like, but when the Hammond was such an instrumental play, if you're not prepared to have other opponents that also run the Hammond, it's going to be very tough to transfer a lot of this.
Yeah, that's spooky. And honestly, it's weird. Like, they had some of those counter picks, you know? The Sombra is great at hacking out a Doomfist and rendering them completely impotent. The Mei is very good at freezing the Hammond and getting a focus fire down on him. Task, I don't know if Task was just too dang fast or just always made sure that their entrance was beautiful. It was like watching someone from the fighting game community who goes to Evo. Like, they just knew exactly what frame to get that first hit in on, and then whoosh, they were gone.
Yeah, I don't want to speak out of school, but I think Task may have had some aftermarket modifications to that Wrecking Ball, because it was definitely putting in the work. It was basically, you know, a literal tank. You could not bring that thing to stop in any way if you wanted to. But that being said, we are just waiting to get somebody in here for a little post-game interview from Hopeful. But while we have this moment, folks, don't forget to throw your votes in the Twitch chat if you think somebody was popping off. I know it was a pretty quick one, but if you're like me, that only gives your memory, you know, even less time to mess up on you. So throw your votes in the chat. If you're liking anybody you saw, show them that support, show them that love, and we will announce it as soon as we finish up with our interview. But as you may be able to hear, it is going to be Hopeful hopping into chat with us.
Hello.
Welcome, and congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Well, how are you feeling, my friend?
Pretty good. That was a good game. We got to play our best heroes. We were popping off. Yeah, it was a good time.
All right, so I gotta ask.
Yes.
Best heroes. So Doomfist, we saw some seriously excellent play coming out from you. It was intense. Have you always been a Doomfist fan, and now this is like your major time to shine, or like now it's the meta, and also you've taken a huge shine?
I think Doomfist. I've always played Doomfist since like season 10.
Nice.
But I've always been really good at him. But this season, now that the Doom is like the best DPS you could possibly play in the double shield, I think I'm just playing a lot better because games are a lot easier now that Doomfist is like, people don't roast you for playing Doomfist anymore. It's like, it's definitely like much better. Right now is a much better time to play Doom. Yeah. So I have fun playing him. Great hero.
Yeah, and now we saw a little bit of I guess what I would very much call non-meta kind of picks coming through. The Wrecking Ball, I don't think, is something that we've seen a lot of with Sigma and Ori being so dominant. Is that something that you guys really worked on kind of perfecting? And like, how do you practice that in that way?
We've been running ball, like we ran that comp Doomfist ball when Goats was a thing. It always worked. And we just run it into we run it now in double shield meta. I think it just worked really well because me and Task, the whole team, we have synergy between all of us, and especially me and Task, we like kind of play as a one sometimes. Like whatever he dives, I dive, and we've always been working it. And now since into double shield, it works a lot now too. So it is off meta, but I think the way we play is like really viable. It's like
gonna argue that is 100% accurate.
Yeah.
The coordination coming out from this team was really solid. Now, it was mentioned that the Dedicated Gaming hasn't necessarily been together all that long. What do you think led to you guys meshing so quickly and so well?
I think actually we have been together for quite a bit. We've been playing a lot of scrims, but we just recently got picked up by Dedicated Gaming, by the org. But before that, we've been playing as a team quite a bit. We've been synergizing, playing in scrims. We're all just like really good friends, and like as a team, I think we work really really well together. Like our synergy.
Sir Waltham, I think we got bamboozled a little.
Yeah, a little bit of of the wool was pulled over our eyes, but hopeful here to kind of remove it so we can see clearly now. But yeah, we were talking with Panda. They were saying that you guys had been a team for a week, so I guess it kind of adds up, because that was some very impressive play for what we thought was just a 1 week old team. But now, yeah, the math adds up. The math checks out now.
Yep.
So, with that being said, do you guys are you guys willing to more so flex onto the Sigma Ori if for some reason ball isn't working, or are you guys true to your name and more dedicated to the compositions that you guys are running right now?
We if ball isn't working, we're in first option is to just go Sigma. Task plays a very good Sigma, and our Arista player is always very good. So we're not. Task isn't necessarily one trick. You definitely flex to the Sigma, definitely. But yeah, we don't just roll with that comp. If needed, we switch to double shield, if necessary.
Well, I look forward to seeing it if it does come. I'm glad we didn't have to see it. I always like seeing a little bit of ball going on in my games of Overwatch anyway.
Yeah, Task is incredibly good on ball. He's insane.
All right, well, we're going to have to let you go now. It's been fantastic talking with you and having you join us in the booth. I do have one more final question.
Yes.
If Doomfist ends up getting nerfed, how do you think that will change your gameplay?
I'd still play him. I mean, I've been working with him on PTR. People are saying how he's like gonna be really bad, but I think after playing scrims in PTR, I think he's gonna be okay. I mean, I've played Doom ever since he was like, people said he was like garbage, and people said he was like a horrible character. So I'm probably gonna stick with him. But if he like gets like hard nerfed, I'm just gonna probably like switch to like projectile, like Hanzo Pharah. Cause my hit scan is say it's not that good. It's not the best.
A little spooky. Well, thanks for having. It's honestly, it's been great to have you. We love talking to you, and we're looking forward to seeing the dedicated gaming move through the tournament. So congratulations and good luck.
Yes, thank you for the great casting. All right, talk to you guys later. See you guys.
Bye. That's the first compliment I've ever heard about my casting creep ever in the history of ever.
Right?
But I think we are kind of waiting for the MVP poll to wrap up, unless you've been given the envelope, Threep. I have not yet.
It's important in our duo. One of us always forgets it, the other one reminds the other. And so Sir Waltham is correct. We do have the MVP. It is in fact Dad Yes Please 360, who I do want to indicate is the viewer's choice MVP, but I also do want to call out the switchability and some of the flexibility, I think, that we know they have and didn't get to demonstrate here. So here's hoping that they get the chance to win even more MVP awards, unless their next match may be their last.
Yeah, certainly don't want to see them go out after getting that nice shiny trophy. So congratulations, person who has the most uncomfortable name for me to say on stream, Dad Yes Please 360.
Correct. Absolutely 100%. So we're going to get going here. We have one more match tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So if you're looking forward to more matches, don't forget to throw us a follow and also a subscriber if you're feeling plucky. But for now, I've been Threepwood007. Grab me on Twitch or Twitter at Threepwood007.
And likewise, I've been Sir Waltham, Twitch or Twitter, Sir Waltham, WALTHAM. I want to thank you guys for coming, hanging out, watching our games with us. And we hope to see you guys in just about an hour. But until then, be safe, everybody.